On April 5, 2019, Tyler Griffin became the subject of a forceful law enforcement encounter involving Officer Donald Vickers and Officer Matthew Abad of the Atlanta Police Department in Atlanta, Georgia. The officers followed Mr. Griffin for several city blocks in an unmarked vehicle without activated lights, claiming they had observed traffic violations, although the department failed to provide any dash camera footage supporting those allegations. After the physical takedown, body camera recordings showed Mr. Griffin lying on the ground in severe pain while the officers laughed and joked about markings on the pavement, disregarding the fact that the impact had caused a serious fracture to his ankle. Officer Vickers' actions took place despite a documented record of excessive force, including a 2011 disciplinary incident in which he pepper-sprayed and kicked a handcuffed civilian. Mr. Griffin later filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against both the individual officers and the City of Atlanta in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Georgia. During the discovery process, plaintiff's attorney Matt Kahn of the Butler law firm uncovered inconsistencies within the department's administrative records and requested a formal corporate deposition. On September 22, 2020, attorney Kahn deposed Sergeant Quentin Reese, who had
Can you tell me what is the general purpose of the performance evaluations?
Purpose of a performance evaluation is to give the officer and the department an understanding of where the officer is in regards to what their terminal objectives are for their evaluation.
Is it fair to say that one purpose of performance evaluations is to measure police officers' competencies?
I would say that's fair.
Is it fair to say that one purpose of performance evaluations is to encourage police officers to comply with the standard operating procedures?
Yes, I'd say that's fair.
Is it fair to say that one purpose of performance evaluations is to identify performance problems?
It is.
If a police officer violates a standard operating procedure, is that something that would appear in the performance evaluation?
No, not necessarily.
Well, let me ask you this. If a police officer violates a standard operating procedure, is that something that you think should appear in a performance evaluation?
I think a performance evaluation is an overall rating, not based on one particular incident.
So it's your opinion then that one violation of the standard operating procedures is not enough to affect a performance evaluation?
I think it depends on what the SOP is that's violated.
That's fair. So what's an example of an SOP that could be violated that would be enough to affect a performance evaluation?
Excessive use of force would be one. Excessive tardiness would certainly be, or tardiness or absence from work would be another.
Could you think of any other examples of like a singular rule violation that would be enough to impact a performance evaluation?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Again, performance evaluations are used as a tool to measure a whole of a year's activities, not generally just one incident.
Okay. Well, so how many times does a police officer need to break the rules for it to be noted in a performance evaluation?
I can't set a number. I wouldn't be able to tell you that.
So I guess is what you're saying, that it's sort of a case-by-case basis depending on the number of violations and the seriousness of the rules that have been violated?
I would say that's fair to say.
If a police officer has a pending OPS investigation, is that something that would be noted in the performance evaluation?
No,
Why not?
it's generally not recorded there. Again, it's a totality of all of the activities. It's not something that's singled out in a performance evaluation.
But would an OPS investigation be considered in a performance evaluation?
I would say it would probably be taken into account by the rater who's rating the officer.
So an OPS investigation would be taken into account by the I guess the person giving the evaluation, but would not be dispositive on any one issue. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
Okay. If an OPS investigation finds that an officer actually did break the rules and there's an adverse finding, is that something that would appear in the performance evaluation?
Again, performance evaluations do not necessarily take into account individual activities. It's a totality of all of their actions and activity for a year. Now, a rater may have in the back of their mind, yes, this officer's had numerous OPS packages this year, and they are aware of the findings of those OPS packages, and certainly that would be a factor in the rating that they would be giving the officer.
Okay. Well, doesn't an adverse OPS investigation relate to an officer's performance?
It does.
So then why not include it in the performance evaluation?
It's just not something that's added to a performance evaluation. It's taken into account based upon the knowledge that the supervisor has over that officer. And again, it's the totality of all of their actions for that year. I don't foresee any supervisor saying this officer had all of these complaints, et cetera, and then giving them a highly effective rating. That just doesn't happen. I haven't seen it happen.
Okay. Well, would you agree that a performance evaluation of a police officer who repeatedly breaks rules should reflect that?
I think that would be reasonable that you would see that in their performance evaluation.
But would you agree that in order for a performance evaluation to mean anything, it must include instances in which a police officer breaks the rules?
I think that a performance evaluation should take into account all of the officer's actions and activities, and it should be a fair representation of who that officer is.
Is it fair to say that if a police officer repeatedly breaks the rules but gets positive performance evaluations, the city is condoning the officer's rule breaking?
Objection, but you can answer.
I don't know that that is taking place. I would certainly not want that to be the case.
If that were the case, would you agree that the city is condoning the officer's rule breaking?
Objection, but you can answer.
Yeah, I would say that's not right.
Been designated as the official representative for the City of Atlanta under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure to testify regarding the department's personnel oversight and performance evaluation policies. Sergeant Reese agreed with Mr. Khan's position concerning institutional accountability under the legal framework established by the landmark 1978 Supreme Court decision Monell v. Department of Social Services. Referring to Monell v. Department of Social Services of the City of New York, Sergeant Reese acknowledged that if an officer repeatedly violates violates departmental policies yet continues to receive favorable performance evaluations. Such treatment could suggest that the city is effectively endorsing the officer's repeated misconduct. Under the Atlanta Police Department Standard Operating Procedures (SOPs), every officer is required to comply with all departmental policies, regulations, and established performance standards. Although an officer may occasionally commit an SOP violation, the department does not automatically reduce the officer's overall annual evaluation because of a single infraction unless the conduct involves serious misconduct, including excessive use of force committed under the color of law. During the deposition, Mr. Khan questioned Sergeant Reese about the manner in which officer misconduct is documented and reflected within departmental records. Sergeant Reese explained that a policy violation is not necessarily included in an officer's performance evaluation.